Okay, if you're seeing glare in my glasses, don't say anything, don't look at it, just ignore it. Just ignore it. Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So if you were anything like me as a young adult, you definitely were reading books not as just a form of entertainment, but as a form of escapism. And I unfortunately did do that so often that as I grew up, I sort of lost that side of me, especially being an avid reader as I was a child. You know, I was a gifted child. I was reading at a high school level in like the 5th, 6th grade. It was a whole thing. If you were like me, you understand. But with that being said, I used so many books as escapism, and this particular series I already did a podcast episode about, and you're probably wondering why I'm talking about it again, because I already had a whole separate video about it. I talked about reading the 3rd book this month or this year, trying to get into it. But with that, unfortunately, I have some really sad news. As many of you know, I loved the Night World series. I loved this book series so much. It was my first introduction into just like YA romance novels. I really wouldn't call them romance. A lot of them have to deal with romance, but I digress. This series shaped me as a teenager. It influenced so much of the media that I consumed. It's why I loved so many other books in that same category and why I continue to read so many more books. But I really hate to say this, and if you didn't know this already, I'm so sorry to have to break this to you. But if you loved this author, L.J Smith, Lisa Jane Smith, she passed away earlier this month. She passed away on March 8th. At her home in California, peacefully, and I was absolutely gutted when I found out about this. If you already didn't know, she had written not just the Night World series, but she wrote The Vampire Diaries, she wrote The Secret Circle, and she also wrote another YA series called The Forbidden Games. She had been so impactful on so many young adult lives, especially girls, because we read these books and we all wanted to be the secret soulmate or the random girl who fell in love with the vampire and he changed for us. And hearing about her passing, which I found out through a TikTok, was just, for me, she was just a truly amazing author. There was nobody who could compare to her when I was a young adult, and some of her books still stand the test of time. From what I could gather when I was looking and researching more into her for this video, I found out that a few months ago, I think, or a year or something, I really couldn't get the dates all correctly, she was actually back on her website. They had updated the whole thing, and she was in active communication with her fans. She had discussed more of her other future writings and things. She wrote one-shots, she wrote little things, and she kept us updated with her health. But unfortunately, the last one that she did post was back in February, and she never said anything, and then we were told of her unfortunate and untimely passing. There's a lot of things about L.J Smith that a lot of people don't know, that she unfortunately did lose some of ownership of some of her works. She also unfortunately dealt with a lot of ghostwriters that weren't necessarily picked for her. They were kind of just forced upon her. And also the drama and the beef that came with Julia Plec, who was the co-writer and producer of The Vampire Diaries. I'm not going to delve into that drama because there are probably better videos about it out there, because I want to focus this video primarily on the books that shaped me as a young adult and a little bit about L.J Smith. I know I talked a few times about this book series, so I'm just going to do a very quick short synopsis. If you think about fairy tale mythical creatures, it's in this book. They are vampires, ghosts, werewolves, shapeshifters, witches, anything you could think of, they are in this book. And what I really like about these books is that it is not just about romances, it is not just about finding soulmates, it's a lot about how the society deems these people and how humans are seen less than, or even witches are seen less than. And I really enjoyed this book series. This is one of her later series that came out. She first wrote like Vampire Diaries and Secret Circle and things like that. And then in 1996 is when she first wrote the first Night World series books. If you want a more in-depth review on these books, I will link the video down below. But I want to talk about one of my favorite lores that came with L.J Smith that a lot of people still talk about to this day. When I found out about her passing, I saw so many TikToks about it. And when I say so many, I mean like 5 or 6. But all of the comments were talking about this exact same lore that I talked about, and I thought it was so cool. If you don't go watch that video, that's fine. But my favorite lore with L.J Smith is that, so allegedly she was going to release so the books that I have are 3 stories in one. And so she was going to release 3 more stories that would have concluded the Night World series with the 4th book. And it would have been a wrap up of everything that we had just gotten. Because by the 3rd book, like I said in the other video, we are essentially in apocalypse time and a big battle is about to ensue with all of our characters coming together and fighting off this big bad. And we are left on a cliffhanger at the end of the series. And so a lot of people have been asking her over and over, are you going to write this 4th book? Are you going to do this? And she had hinted at it a few times. So when I went to her website, I saw that there was an ultimate guide to Night World. I'll show you a picture here. And I was really excited because I thought this was going to be like a new thing of where we get to meet new characters or maybe something like that. But unfortunately, L.J Smith was a victim of AI, and the whole guide was just short character descriptions, just little things that you already knew about these characters if you read these books, and a bunch of AI images of said characters. I was a little disappointed to see that it was just a lot of regurgitation of stuff that we already knew and there wasn't any new information in it, but I really can't blame her given the state of her health. For me personally, Night World perfectly encapsulated what a YA series should do. There was a sprinkle of romance, a sprinkle of yearning, but the overall picture was a depiction of what society could be in this world. And there was always some circumstances, not everything went their way. There was a lot of pausing and a lot of just world building that was so good, and I was so disappointed to hear that in the middle of my reread, my favorite author had passed away. I do hope to read more of her series in the future. I know she has so many more books out there, and I am just one of the few people who love her books, so I am hoping to read some of her stuff in the near future, hopefully. Following the theme of this video, I also wanted to talk about another book series that shaped me as a teenager that just filled me with so much angst. But you could probably not guess what it is because unfortunately, I did not read Hunger Games. What did she say? Yeah, I never read Hunger Games. But do you know what dystopian novel I did read that dealt with government overthrow, had a strong female character, and was also turned into a multi-million-dollar movies franchise? Divergent. I read Divergent. Unfortunately. I absolutely loved the Divergent series, but don't get me started on the ending of Allegiant. Do not get me started. I will never forgive Ford. If Ford and my best friend did that to me, oh, I'm coming back from the dead. I'm coming back. Other than that, I never realized how quickly the author, Veronica Roth, had gained traction for this book. She was literally in the middle of her winter break, according to her wiki. In the middle of her winter break, wrote this, got a publisher or an agent by March, and they had already acquired the rights for it. And by the time it was first being published, they were already wrapping up the first movie. Huh? Roth is still publishing books to this day, so I'm hoping that I will actually get to read some of them because I was so defeated by Divergent. I literally just never picked up another one of her books. I don't actually have any copies now. Obviously, I read them in my youth, but I'm hoping that if I really do want to pick up those books again, I will, but honestly, I'm good with just reading it once. Now again, if you didn't have a niche book series when you were a child or a preteen, did you actually read books? Because I had so many niche book series besides Night World and Divergent and things like that. There was a book series, and you probably know it. If you read these as a kid, you were cool. I'm saying it now, if you read these book series as a kid, you were automatically cool to me. And it's the Goosebumps series, okay? Say Cheese and Die, A Haunted Mask, Slappy, The Phantom of the Auditorium. Get out of my face if you don't know what I'm talking about. I consumed these books so much. This was my first introduction into horror, I guess you could say, and really just scaring myself as a kid. And they were in like the same realm for me as Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, but obviously Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark were a bit more like poemy and like short stories, when Goosebumps was like, there was books within these books, sometimes intertwined. I really loved this book series as a child. I checked them out all the time at the library, I swear. They were probably my peak interest at some points. I also love to rewatch the 90s TV series when it would be run on Cartoon Network, which also scared me as a child. Sorry, it did actually start raining, so the lighting might have changed a little bit. But with R.L. Stine, I know that he wrote some young adult novels that were like in the horror genre, which is their Fear Street series. I loved the Netflix version of it when they had the trilogy of the 3 movies. I loved this series so much. I loved the movies. I had no idea they were based on R.L. Stine's books. I'm actually hoping to pick some of those up soon. And when I mean soon, I mean probably in 6 months, because y'all know I got a lot of books to get through. For me, Goosebumps is just one of those series that if you have a child, please introduce it to them, because I don't want to be the only one who is traumatized, and everyone should be scared of Slappy. Wait, is it like Beetlejuice, where if I say it again? Hold on. There are so many other book series that impacted me as a young adult, and I'm sure there are more book series out there that are impacting today's youth, even more than it did for me, because I didn't even cover my Twilight phase. That's another video for another day, but it's starting to rain really bad and my lighting has changed a lot, so I'm probably gonna have to end the video here soon. Anyways, what are some books that shaped your childhood? Did you also have a Night World series phase? If you did, please comment down below and let's be friends. Please, please, please comment down below, because I am not the only one. I know it. But what other book series shaped you as a kid? If there are any books that you now are like revisiting as an older adult and are like really nurturing that side of yourself, please let me know in the comments. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up and be sure to subscribe if you want to see more of me. And with that, I'm going to end this video here. I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye! It's raining. Wow, it's really raining like that. Really